Hey, before we get into this podcast, are you going to Epic this next week in Anaheim, California? It's Monday and Tuesday, the 11th and 12th. If you haven't, check it out at epic2024.com. It's got Deion Sanders, it's got Tommy Mello, it's got a ton of HVAC leaders. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I highly recommend checking it out. And it's right there next to Disneyland, so you could have your kids go there while you're at the event. Check it out, epic2024.com. Peace. Hey, how's it going? It's Tim Brown, and this is the Plumbing and HVAC Hustle Podcast. And today I've got Anthony Cafagna. And we're at All City Plumbing. Here, what city is this?
Rancho Cucamonga.
Rancho Cucamonga in California. And we're talking about how to know if you're ready to start another business. Mm-hmm. And we both said there's like a lot of people that have done this and they maybe shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And then there's people that get scared off of it by other people that don't know what they're talking about, right? If you really have these things down. So we're going to discuss that. We're going to talk about knowing your numbers and what specifically he does. And we're also going to talk about next level customer service and just the different businesses that you're layering on right now. Because to me, you said it's very energizing to you, and I want to talk about what you're having fun with right now.
Okay.
Could you give us like a 2-minute background of just where you came from and what's going on now and where you're going?
So where I came from, I guess I can go back to when I was late teens. I was working at Stater Brothers full time. I was going to a junior college full time, and I can't remember the years that this was exactly happening, but the first huge housing boom where homes just like doubled and tripled like over a short span, that was happening. And that's what kind of made me start thinking bigger, because I was working at Stater Brothers and I was inside my parents' kitchen. I was looking on the outside, and behind their home there's a new housing development, and all the homes that were being built and sold were all between like $600,000 and $700,000, and that all those homes were the same size as my parents' house that they bought for $169,000. So I remember I was at my kitchen looking at the homes that were being built, the same size, everything at my parents' house, but the homes were selling for 3 times more. And then right then and there I realized that, like, oh my God, I need to really step my game up and make way more money, because if homes just tripled and my income, I'm at Stater Brothers, it's like a union job, and I'm already tapped out, like I'm at the highest rung, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, if homes triple, tapped out Stater Brothers with this pay, a union job, like how the hell is this going to work out? Mm-hmm. And I just knew that right away that I need to make some serious dough, because life is expensive.
Oh, damn right. And you guys are at what revenue do you think you'll hit this year?
So this year I think we'll do at least 30 million in plumbing. Mm-hmm. Probably next month when we start the recon division for restoration, we should have at least $1 million months.
Okay.
So
going quick.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute that to, like at a basic level? Like, what do you think are like secret sauce things that made you go? Because a lot of plumbing companies don't get there, right?
Mm-hmm. So some of the secret sauce, well, you got to remember where I started. I was a plumber that started a plumbing company, so I didn't have any business knowledge or any background like that. So the first 5 years I was in business, I just really didn't have any direction. I had one van, and my priorities were not where they are now. I was just kind of living for the moment, basically living for the weekend. Mm-hmm. So the first 5 years of business, I didn't really think too much about the business, because I started when I was 25. I was really young. Once I hit around the age of 30, I kind of told myself, hey, I need to start taking my life a little more serious, and I should probably start trying to grow this business. And that was kind of the turning point for me. Then I got into personal development. I started reading a couple business books that rewired my mind and started helping me to think a little more.
Can you shout some out?
Yeah. So one of the books that I read, this was when I was in my early 30s. I think at this time I still had one van, maybe 2 vans. Yeah, I had one Dennett van and one new van. And this is after I've been in business for like 6-7 years, so there wasn't a lot of growth there. But basically, I read these 3 books in 1 month, and these 3 books really rewired my brain and helped me dig myself out of the hole I was in. One of them was the book that everybody reads, E-Myth. by Michael Gerber. And that was a really good one. That one made me understand how you're supposed to like systematize a business. And then just after reading that book, I started to somewhat understand what made businesses successful. And then I read Mike Aguilera, The Secrets of Business Mastery. That was a book that really did it for me because his story was very similar to mine. His story, to summarize it, was that he was in business for 10 years with his partner. And basically, his life was Groundhog Day for 10 years. And he just spun his wheel for 10 years and had no growth, had one van. And then he started investing in personal development, and then he was able to build himself up to a $30 million company. And that story really resonated with me because I was like, no way, I just burnt 5 years of my life. Like, without, my life was Groundhog Day for over 5 years. And his story was very similar to mine. And then I just knew that I was on the right track. I knew that if I invested in personal development and took action, that I was going to be able to build something.
Was there one more book?
Yeah, and the other book was by Brian Cafagna. Man, I forgot what it was, but somehow with his book, Brian's book, and Mike Aguilera's book, it just triggered something in my mind that I need to get out of this damn van as fast as humanly possible. I need to work on the business, not in the business. I need to get out of the van. So I read those 3 books within 1 month because once I started reading those books, I was like, oh my God, this is the ticket out of here. Like this is it. This is how you build something. And I started once I realized that I need to get out of the van. I need to work on the business, not in the business. There's no way in hell you can build a business from a plumbing van. I was out of the van within a few months. It was quick. It was instant.
So it was really a decision almost.
Yeah. And before I was just, I don't know what I was thinking. I was just floundering around. I didn't have the tools to think like a business owner. That's really what it came down to.
You're starting this restoration business now, right? And you said it's re-energizing you. I think some entrepreneurs like that feeling and will pursue it even when it's not in their best interest.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll just keep on adding their little businesses, and you're like, God damn, dude, just focus.
Right.
So how do you know that this business, All City Plumbing, is ready for you to add this additional business? And what would you recommend as like benchmarks to be at for somebody else to add another business?
Yeah. So for me, I think some of the benchmarks to start another business, well, first off, you'd have to know your numbers. You need to know your numbers. You need to have the business systematized. So you should have like a manual for everything. Like we have manuals for this is how you count reviews and post reviews. Like this is how you do every single job. So you should have like a really good manual for every position and onboarding. We use Trainio and Loom. So here's your manual, here's your videos, here's a test afterwards. Like everything needs to be systematized. Like you need to be able to create, what you want by being able to really hire anybody with no experience. So like for our CSRs, they can have no experience in the plumbing industry, and then within a few weeks of onboarding, they're able to go through enough training that they can identify what calls have the best margins, and then this is how you dispatch for profit, and so we can really take somebody green or doesn't have any knowledge, and our onboarding is so good that we can basically build what we need, right, to help the business grow. We can build CSRs from scratch, plumbers, what have you. I think when you're in a position like that, and then your first business can net at least 15% profit month over month, you'll be in a good shape to start another business. The reason why I think that's the benchmark, at least a 15%, because when you go start another trade, add a trade or a new business, it's going to divert time a lot. It's going to divert way more time, energy, and money than you think. So you need to start from a fairly high place, so that way when you're going into the next business, it's really hard to accurately predict exactly how much money it's going to take. Like I started a new trade, right, and it's already cost me more than double than I thought it was going to cost.
Yeah. You're seeing the opportunity for the massive revenue increase, though, so you're confident that.
Oh yeah, it's gonna work out. Like, because I already have like my financials in place. I have like an accounting team working on it. I can see what we're billing out, what we're making and bringing in, and I mean it's gonna be a home run.
Talk to me about, you said 15%. What are some other financial systems that you accredit to growth here? Obviously, finances has to be right for growth to happen, right? Because there's a certain point where we'll just holds you back.
Yeah.
What else is like a system or a recommendation you'd have for somebody trying to get past 5 or 10?
Some of them would be to get your, just to know your numbers. You know, people hear it a lot. I mentor quite a few contractors, and from when I was mentoring them, from the time I mentored them, from the time they actually did something to know their numbers, some of them took 2 years, some of them took a year. And you have to hear it a lot. So maybe I can be that person where you finally heard it, that you need to know your numbers. You need to get a P&L and accrual accounting by the 10th of each month. And if that is a big challenge for you because you don't have the accounting team in place, you know, I get it, but you need to move mountains. That has to happen. You're flying blind.
The 10th of each month. I think that's a great, just very solid. We're talking about solid numbers. 15%, the 10th of each month. Accrual accounting. For those of you that aren't as familiar with cash versus accrual accounting, how does that play out for you?
Yeah. So for our business, cash accounting is great for your CPA and for paying taxes. And that's one thing that people get tripped out on. They'll usually when they start their little financial journey, they'll go to their CPA to do their accounting, and there's just no way. Like the way their mind works and what you need to run a day-to-day business is completely opposite. So that can help you with the learning curve.
Because we're talking about tactical, and like as much as you know your numbers and can share your numbers to your team, then they can make better decisions in the moment and in the month. Is that kind of what we're saying?
Yeah. So, that's really important too. I was just kind of giving tips to someone that wanted to start their journey to learning their numbers. I think a lot of people, when they hear that, they pivot to their CPA, they pivot to the person doing their taxes.
Gotcha.
But the person that does their taxes is doing everything in cash accounting, and they usually honestly don't know how to run a business. Like so they just know, like they know how to do things in cash accounting and help you to pay as little taxes as possible. Like that's what their strength is, you know. So like that would be like a plumbing company, you know. And if you were to need different types of accounting and accrual accounting, that would take a different muscle, you know. I'm actually I'm not explaining it very well, but
no. So in my business, I've got the CPA person, basically accountant, and then we've got like a fractional CFO.
Yep.
Like for you, how many people or let's say a 5. I always like think about that 5-10 million person that's growing. Because no offense, you probably have some shit down that you don't necessarily, you know what I mean? Like this kind of content, you might not even watch it, right? Like, but talk about the types of people. So we've got the CPA. Do you have some kind of like CFO, or do you have like, how did you do that early? Like as you were growing, what other people are you looking for? Like what title do they have?
I can talk about the $5 million mark because when I was approaching that mark is when I got my first accountant. Yeah.
And it was separate, and it was in-house? In-house, okay.
Yeah.
So grab somebody in-house at that $5 million mark.
Yeah.
You thought that was the smart decision?
So what happened was I joined Nextar.
Yeah.
Because this was my journey. I heard about Nextar, their little sales pitch. I joined Nextar a million years ago, but their little sales pitch was, you know, join Nextar, do things the Nextar way, and you'll get a double-digit profit, right? And that double-digit profit really resonated to me because I just finished doing my taxes, and my CPA said that I made a 6% profit, right? And then I'm like, man, I made a 6% profit, and then there's this like advertising for Nextar and do things the Nextar way, and you'll get a double-digit profit, right? So right when I joined Nextar, my business coach taught me what a P&L was and the importance of understanding your billable hourly rate and building a price book, like just all the fundamentals that you need to like build a business. I was introduced that right off the bat. But right when I had my coach, I quickly realized like, oh my God, I need like my financials. I need a P&L by the 10th of the month. I need these things, and that's what made me hire my first in-house accountant. And then from there, things got a lot easier.
I love this emphasis on a few key numbers and the fact that like you did hire in-house. And what would you say? So kind of switching gears a little bit. We're talking about when to add a new business, and we'll discuss a little bit more on that too, because that's exciting to you and you've got this new business. But for a second, we talk about customer service. and you guys have a particularly good reputation in the area. Sounds like, what is it, 6,000 plus?
Yeah, we have about 6,500 5-star reviews on Google.
Yeah. And like, what do you accredit that to? Could you give it a little bit of like background on the customer service side, but then also how to get reviews?
Yeah, so for the customer service side, it's more of like an experience. We have like this wow service training that we do, and it just starts from, you know, all the basics like looking good, smelling good, using shoe covers, laying down work mats, you know, being respectful of people's homes, just understanding that this is their castle, this is their largest investment that they have, and we need to treat it with respect. You know, don't put tools on people's counters, don't lean tools against their walls, like just, you know, be ready for the homeowner to inspect your job site at any minute. And when they inspect their job site, they need to just see it and automatically think, I'm dealing with a professional. I'm glad I hired this guy.
Yeah, I could see that. I was on your job site yesterday. I could feel that from the people. It felt like, yeah, I just felt you had the canopy and just the tools seemed clean. It felt ordered, you know, which I'm sure is not always the case. These are messy jobs, right?
Oh, yeah.
And the homeowner came out and it felt very professional. It was very good. You would be proud if you were sitting there so how about on the review side? Do you have a few quick tips for like systems that you have in place to get that many? Obviously, like we say customer service, everyone says that like, okay, it's just customer service. We're just really, really good. But then what does the asking process look like?
Yeah, so you have to ask for the review. One of the things that Nextar teaches that's really good is that in the beginning of the call, they want you to do like a 5-star pledge, which is you basically promise a customer that your goal of today's call is to provide 5-star service. And if any time I'm falling short, please let me know so I can fix it. So just right up the front, you let the customer know, hey, you let them know basically what time it is. I'm a 5-star professional. I'm going to provide 5-star service. If I fall short, let me know because I want to fix it. I want to make you happy.
Okay, so that's from Nextar.
Yeah, I mean, not word for word, but pretty close to it.
No, I'm just saying because I have other clients that have that kind of pledge, and I was like, oh, that's.
Oh yeah, that came from Nextar. Yeah. Pretty much like, because I'm part of a few different best practice groups. I feel like a lot of the stuff stems from Nextar.
He does is he teaches the most valuable team in your business. He'll just add nothing but profit.
There's so much money left in the call center. So much money. If you're not at a 90% booking rate, showing empathy on the phone, smiling on the phone, making sure they're having a better day after they got off the phone with you, then you need to call Power Selling Pros and see Brigham.
Okay, any other business services that you want to shout out that have helped your business that you actually think were substantial in the process of getting where you're at and where you're going?
Yeah, so definitely joining Nextar, a best practice group, helped a lot. There's no way that I would have learned some of those things on my own. So they definitely helped enlighten me and point me in the right direction. And, you know, Nextar comes with a business coach that's dedicated to your success. And they know the direction that you should go on if you want to be successful. So Nextar was really helpful. Rebranding with Dan Antonelli was really helpful. You know, we get a ton of calls every month from people saying they see our vans. You know, I'm in the call center quite a bit because I feel like that's one of the most important pieces of business, and you can lose a lot of money in your call center. So I'm in there often, and you can just hear it. You know, like people say, "Oh, I see your vans everywhere."
Oh, that brings me to the. I don't know if you've ever watched any episodes of this. I've got a couple quick series that I do, and one of them is "There's Money in the Phones" by PowerSellingPros.com.
Oh, that's good. Are they a sponsor?
Yes.
Yeah, they're okay. We use them. They're good.
Oh, really?
Well, we don't currently use them, but we've used them quite a few times in the past.
What did you like about what they taught you? And really, I'm asking, the series is what's some system in your call-in process that you feel will help home service businesses?
Yeah. So one of the things that helps a lot in the call center is just teach your CSRs and your dispatchers. Everybody should know like what calls have the best margins. Like here's the types of jobs that we will generate the most profit on. So we cannot drop the ball on these calls, and we need to prioritize them. You know, so like you need to teach everybody what the margin monsters are, so that way everybody's working into achieving the goal, which is not let these ones slip by and reprioritize the calls that you're going to make profit on. Because you know, they're not all winners. You know, sometimes you're just doing a job to hopefully get a customer out of it, but you'll be upside down when you think about what you're paying the tech, the advertising, gas, and all that stuff. You know, but you're just like, you know, you go out there, you take it on the chin, and you just pray to God they call you back for something else one day, so that way you can actually make something of it.
Oh man, that's a great margin monsters and
Yeah.
knowing those. Damn, that's a great one. All right, so Hot Takes, Cold Trends is a series where we go through anything controversial that you have, perspectives, and then also things people should stop wasting time, money, or energy on. What is your hot take for the industry?
Hot take, is this for the controversial one?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know if it's controversial. I know that my thinking has developed over the years, and now that I recently started the restoration company, maybe this could be controversial, is that in the home service industry, there's a thing called like the Holy Trinity, where you do air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical. You know, I think a lot of companies strive to do those three trades. And the only thing that I would say that might be controversial is that if you have a plumbing company, the next pivot should be restoration. I think a lot of people go from plumbing to air conditioning, or they go from air conditioning to plumbing. I think that a good pivot would be to go from plumbing to restoration.
How about Cold Trends?
So this is just like a tip that I've learned through my journey. You know, when we joined Nextar, we really went all out on training all the technicians, the service process, and we've been part of all kinds of different types of selling programs over the years, and I think they're all great, and they definitely all help. There's no doubt about it. Like, if you put your guys through any type of sales training that you could think of, we've actually been through them all, and they all help a lot. But the thing that helps the most is getting project managers, call-by-call managers, basically putting a professional salesman with your team of techs to develop them. That will help lift the average ticket like way more than anything, you know. So
just get a separate person. Stop trying to like train every single person.
Well, no, you want to provide training for all your people, but I'm just saying, like, you can train them to death, but what's going to give the biggest lift is a project manager, professional salesman, and a call-by-call manager, like putting someone that's on a really high level with your technicians, kind of like a big brother deal. They will lift the team up, and they will lift your average ticket up. That's what I've noticed. That's helped way more than you know. I don't know if I'm coming off like the wrong way, but
I don't think so.
Like, train your guys.
No, yeah.
The sales training's great.
Yeah.
But if you want a huge lift, get some professional salesmen in front of your technicians.
I love it. Okay, so you talked about the restoration company. So why is that fun to you right now? What is energizing about that? And why do you think that's such a big, you said it's kind of a missed thing.
Oh yeah, it's a huge misstep.
So why are people not doing that? And then
they have no idea about restoration.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're pretty confident that that trajectory is going to be really, really good.
Oh, it's obvious.
Yeah.
I'm actually afraid to even share it, because I think everybody that owns a restoration company, they keep it on the hush. And it's like so amazing that I'm actually afraid to speak out loud. Like some restoration like mobster is going to break my kneecaps for talking about it. So I don't even know if I want to talk about it, actually, because it's that crazy.
That's cool. Well, even if that's the whole spiel on it, that's cool. But what are you loving about just what you're doing right now? What are you excited about? What is just lighting you up?
Well, one thing that's lighting me up is starting a new business.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how much I love starting a new business, like building the team from the ground floor. Honestly, if that's all I did with the rest of my life, would just start new businesses, I would be really happy with that. Because like, it's just, if I had a superpower, it would definitely be taking something from the ground floor and then building it up. One of my weaknesses is definitely, like, as a business established, being in the day-to-day, doing the same stuff. That's really not what I excel at. But I've definitely, now that I started the new restoration company, I've proven that is one of my superpowers, to start something from nothing and build it up.
Awesome. And do you have any, like, you're working with Jason Walker here, HVAC Masters of the Hustle. What have you appreciated about his process? Is there anything you want to talk about that would tell another company that's considering working
this is a big one. This is a gem. So here's a gem. The reason why I reached out to Jason Walker, the main reason was because I knew that we were lacking in the financing department. And I knew to be a high-level comfort advisor, HVAC salesman, that you would have to live and die by financing. And the first time I reached out to Jason was to bring in like training for us to teach our technicians like how to offer and sell and present financing. And when he first started with us, our financing was like under 20%, and then now we're closer to the 40% range. And he's just been drilling at home, and that was a huge miss by us. Like that's one thing I track now. I track it weekly, like our revenue that came from financing. I'd never tracked that before. Like I was just completely missed the mark, you know. So now every week I track like where the revenue came from, like cash, checks, card, financing. And
why is that big to you?
Yeah, because the more revenue that comes from financing, the higher average ticket's going to be.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good takeaway.
Yeah, so you're financing. Yeah, so right now, if you have a company and let's say 10% of your revenue is coming from financing, if you can get that up to 30%, you're going to see that your average ticket's going to skyrocket, because the percentage of revenue coming from financing and your average ticket, they just go hand in hand. So if you can work on that, that'll give you a huge lift.
You feel like Jason has been really good for helping your guys figure that out?
There's no doubt about it. Yeah, it shows in the numbers. We have the data.
Anything else that you want to mention about him training your guys? Like anything that maybe from an outside perspective for him that you feel like he's doing very well?
Yeah, I think one thing that he's doing very well is that he's a professional sales trainer, so he's really good at motivating the guys, you know, getting to know them and building them up, you know. So he's really good at what he does. And you know, when I watch his training and I see the way he moves, I'm just basically taking notes and hoping I can replicate that internally.
Oh, 100%. I feel like, you know, he talks a lot about making emotion happen in the homeowner to get them motivated, like finding, man, I've been taking notes on my phone, like as I've been just driving around with them and kind of learning. And it talks about that concern, finding the concern of the homeowner, and then elevating the concern and attaching emotion to it. So you can come back to it later when it's time to close. So really understanding on the front end the concern and then closing with that emotion later. I feel like that's also how he's teaching to the guys, because I can feel like him trying to create emotion in them to get them motivated. And I find, well, I don't know. Like sometimes I don't know if I couldn't teach with that level of. It's a lot of work.
Right.
Like to be able to teach like that is a lot of work.
Yeah, it's impressive what he's able to do with his on-site trainings. You know, he's gone like half the year, and it's impressive that he's able to do that and keep it up at such a high level. Because he's been doing it for quite a few years, and then also his podcast, like every week he's been hitting that for 4 or 5 years, and he's just like you can just like. You can tell that he's like operating on a really high level from all different facets. The way he carries himself, the way he trains, the way he stays consistent with his podcast. And it's impressive to be around someone that operates on that level.
Yeah, I love trying to put myself around. And people like yourself, business owners that are motivated and pushing and making money. Like I've always found it interesting how many nice people there are that are running companies. And I know you probably got to be like intense every once in a while, like right, like firing people, like it all sucks, right? Like all these things, but it's just crazy. Like I think back in the day when I didn't have any money, I villainized people with money, and maybe you did too. I don't know. Like I always, you know, because it's always the bad guy.
Yeah, I had some thoughts like that.
Yeah, and in movies, it's always the bad guy. That's
well, one thought I had when I worked from somebody was like. Sometimes I'd be around owners that were a little sour. You can tell they're frustrated or mad. And I would think when I was an employee, I'm like, dude, how can this guy be frustrated or mad? He's a gazillionaire. Yeah. He has all the money in the world. Like, how can you ever get upset or mad or frustrated? Because when I worked for someone, I put a higher value of money, you know. But now that I'm a business owner, I just kind of want to go back to all my old bosses and hug them and say, dude, if I ever cause you any stress or any problems, man, I'm fucking sorry, dude. I had no idea what was going on.
And I don't always have no, exactly. No, exactly. I always talk to my people, because I'm not actually the one, I'm leading people and they're leading people, right? And all the people I'm leading are badasses. Like they're like, their energy's good, they're
Right.
on it, they're like, so I don't have to, like sometimes I go, when I'm talking to the full team, so it's a 30-person company or whatever, when I'm talking to the full team, I'm like, be cool to your leaders. Like you're probably going to be a leader one day.
Yeah,
And how you set it up now, how you treat them is going to kind of translate into how you lead later and how people treat you.
Right.
And I wish I would have known that early, like you're exactly like you're saying. So yeah, like if you're early and you're looking at this stuff, like how to be a good follower is weirdly important, because it does. You know, I was an antagonist at places I work. Because I was a high performer, I did a lot of, you know, I thought I was important.
Yes.
But doing the work and being really good at the work is not the only thing, man.
Yeah.
It's doing the work and then also having good energy and
Right.
supporting the people around
Oh man, I was a high performer too, and I was definitely a pain in the ass to
Yeah.
deal with. It's just because I was so good at such a young age, I kind of blew by everybody I was around. You know, like after my second year of doing this, I was running circles around 98% of the people I was around. So I was a young, cocky a-hole, you know, and but I
It
don't
happens.
know.
It happens. Like,
don't
I
know.
feel like it's the phase. Like it's a phase that people go through, and then it's just like you realize later, oh, okay, it's also the other stuff. It's like I gotta be good at my job. I'm gonna make a lot of money, and then I'm also gonna figure out how to be decent, because everyone else has problems too.
Right.
And that's the toughest part, right? About trying to be a high performer and being so driven. And there's a lot of very driven people that haven't figured that out yet.
Right.
We're all working on it too. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for having me into the office. Thank you for the office tour. Thank you for letting me shout out Jason, and appreciate you being so generous with our audience as far as your strategies.
No, thank you for having
Yes,
me.
sir.
I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Where does somebody go to check you guys out.com?
You can check us out callallcity.com.
Callallcity.com, and then the podcast is put on by hookagency.com, Hook Agency all over social. Please like, comment, subscribe, etc. Peace.